everyone, welcome to part 2 of this sort of tortoise haunted house picture from Worlds Within Worlds by Kerby Rosanes. We're going to be doing the tortoise even today to start with, so we'll come in closer. Can't come in too close because he's quite big there. So what colour? Well, I quite like doing green and brown, but I'm not sure I want to do browny green, too much brown. So I'm thinking maybe I'll do the shell in a browny green, like olive drab, and then maybe the tortoise can be a little bit brighter. So I'm grabbing my olive drab. Now, as I said yesterday, I do have some comparison charts because I am aware, here's the olive drab, that a lot of people won't have a set of Holbein pencils. There are some dupes around. The pastels colours you can find similar to them in the Castle Arts in their pastel tint range and in the Brut Fun and Macaron set. They are actually both the same as each other, I think. I don't know about the others though, whether there are other Brut Funers that copy them or not, I'm not sure. Now, as I'm colouring this, I'm noticing that some areas have been marked up as being a bit darker. So rather than going back over and layering it up later, I'm actually going to start layering those up a little bit darker just as I colour. So wherever there's a little sort of area with lines as if it's shadow, I'm just going to put a bit of extra colour on top like that, and then that'll save me having to come back and do it later, and will help to add to the illusion of, I'm just going to put that in there, help to add to the illusion that there's some shadows around our shell, because of course this is the tortoise's shell. I was just thinking then, tortoise shell, it's not a tortoise shell, isn't tortoise shell colour normally, is it? Not really. Oh well, maybe some are, because it would seem silly if none were, wouldn't it? But anyway, I hope you're okay with this. Starting doing some Halloween things. I'm not, I don't go too mad for Halloween. As you know, I'm not a big fan of it personally, but I know that some of you like some sort of slightly Halloween-y-esque pictures, and I thought this looked sort of haunted house, looked quite Halloween-y. I thought was a good one to do, and interesting to do from a different book that I haven't done for ages. I don't know if I've done any videos from this book before. I've done a flip through, but I'm not sure, so be a bit different. I have done some from Imagimorphia, but I'm not sure about this one. Same as fairly recently I did a Millie Marotta, which again is quite rare, but I tend to, as you know, I tend to do Johanna Basford more than anybody else, but I'm sort of waiting for her new book really, and I do have one more picture of hers to do for sort of Halloween-y type feel, and then I'm not sure after that. Yeah, I think we go all the way up to here. This almost looks like it could be tree root, but I don't think it is. It looks gnarly, doesn't it? There we go. I feel very thirsty to go and get a drink after doing this. Sometimes it's just all the talking, I think, but I also, for my lunch, I had some crisps. It's going to make you thirsty, isn't it? I'm just going to do all this bit and come back and put in the shadowy bits after. Yeah, very nice though. They're a posh brand of crisps, because we don't have crisps very often. When we do, we spoil ourselves a bit, and the brand is called Pipers, and they're sort of Anglesey sea salt flavour. Very nice. They seem a bit extra salty, which is a bit naughty. Fortunately, as far as I'm aware, none of us are that sensitive to salt, so we're okay. I know some people are, you have to be really careful, but we're not aware that we are. But you know, we don't have loads of salty food really. I put a little bit of salt on my food if I haven't flavoured it with a stock cube or anything, but we don't go too mad. Now, our actual tortoise. Now, I don't want him to be, I'm going to grab the swatch shot so you can see, I don't want him to be like a bluey green, it's just not going to match, but also one of these brights, it's just going to be too much. It was supposed to have got, I want to leave a sort of dark look to the picture, but not, I thought maybe the moss green might be a good choice because it's brightish, it's different enough from the other colours. It's definitely green, not brown, whereas this olive drab is quite brown, isn't it? So this is some moss green, and I'm just going to go for this one. As I say, look, you can see it's not like so bright, and you know, it just, I think it works with the feel, the sort of atmosphere of the picture, not being too bright. So it's up to you though, you can do it differently if you want. And I don't know what I don't like saying the word realistic, but I don't know what colour they tend to be, tortoise. I've seen some giant tortoises and some little ones in zoos and things, but I didn't used to like them. I used to think they look a bit snake-like as their head pops out from their shell. They've got that sort of reptilian look about them, obviously. But I think I'm liking them more now as I get older. I give myself a bit of a talking to, tell myself not to be so silly. And, you know, it is just a tortoise and it can't hurt me. I'm doing what I did last time and trying to just colour those slightly darker areas with an extra layer of colour, and just doing it as I go along, trying to make sure that the rest of it is reasonably even. Now we have got all these warts and marks on, which we could potentially do some different colours or emphasise a little bit to give it more texture. You know, by putting a bit of colour underneath them, they might look a bit more textured. I'm not sure if that's worth the effort, to be honest. I don't think you can really see. I might have to sharpen this one in a minute. Put a bit of dark colour there. It's a big leg, isn't it? But I guess you're carrying quite a heavy house on the back. So do you think Mr. Turtle lives in the haunted house? No, he lives in the shell, doesn't he? Do you think there's a way in and out of the shell through the haunted house? I don't think so. Do you think he even knows it's there? Because you can't see very well what's on his back. He can't sort of turn his head round and have a good old look. And then this one. And I'm thinking now, while colouring this one, not just about having to sharpen it, but about the colour of the ground. And I'm wondering whether to do a sort of deserty, stony look rather than grey rock. I've got a lot of grey going on, but I will get my swatch out and have a look and a think before I make up my mind fully. And see what's what's going on with it. So let's have a little look. So we could go quite pale, one of these pastel-y colours. So I could go for the beige or the lights of the sand. I'm quite liking that sand. Is it going to be too close to the shell colour? I don't think it is. I'm going to go for the sand. Now, where are you, sand? I think you'll... that's the light sand. There it is, sand. So, sand. And it's going to be quite a simple process of just... I'm just going to adjust my seating position a little bit. Taking my pencil on the side and just doing this. I'm not going to go all the way to the edge, I don't think. Although I might. Yeah, I think I will actually. Thinking about my plan for the sky. I need to go to the edge with this bit. And then we'll just fill in the whole of this bottom half with this. Now, we have got some different shapes, stones and bits and pieces, you know, rough ground and things like that. That will, I'll decide what to do with that in a bit. We do have these dark areas here, but I don't think I can necessarily make them look that dark by just layering up. Maybe I can actually. Maybe that did work. Let's try it over here. I think it did. Okay. So just do all of this bit. I'm going to go back and just go over the bits with little lines on, making them look more like shadows. Sort of, it's showing us the uneven ground really, isn't it? And then we'll do this section. Now you can layer up a few different colours, you can sort of burnish and things like that, but with this, because we've got so many details drawn into the picture, I don't want to layer it up too hard because we'll lose that detailing which I want to show. I want people to be able to see it, it's part of the picture, you know. Some people like to hide the black lines and things like that. You can't do that in this book. And Kerby's telling us what to do with the way that he's drawn the picture really. And actually, pictures like this with a bit of shading can be a great stepping stone. I feel that the best way to learn shading is to use a grayscale book, and then you can see it. But I don't particularly like the way the pictures come out when they're done, because you can usually see the grey through. And if you're colouring people, for example, they look a bit grey, and it's not, in my opinion, it's not particularly attractive. But it's a fantastic way to learn, and then you can move on to a book like this which gives you a bit of the shading so you can learn where to put it. And then once you've moved on from this sort of thing, you can probably do something that's got a more simplistic design like Johanna Basford's sort of thing like this, but you've learned where you might want to put some shade and shadow. Okay, I'm going to leave that like that for now. What I want to think about is our sky, because I am going to colour the sky. I'm not going to colour the skull, but I am going to colour the sky. Oh, let's move the book down a bit. I'm going to have to zoom out a bit for you. Now, I want it to stand out quite a bit, to look so that the bats are silhouetted. The obvious choice for me is to do like a sunset in the background, but I think it might look nicer if it was sort of purple that sort of shade. I'm wondering whether to, I could do, I've never tried this with Holbeins, so that'll be interesting. Right, we're going to be brave and just start. Right, so I'm going to use black to start with. It's going to be my darkest sky colour, and it's going to be at the bottom, okay? And I'm not going to use it really dark, so I'm holding it on its side like that, and then I'm just fading it up quite quickly like that. All these like being put down like this, that must be good, and a little bit in there, and then the same on this side. We need to try and keep it even, so pretty much like that. So only a little bit of black. We're going to switch straight to purple, sort of violets. Now what have we got that's really dark? Grape. The grape is really dark, we use that first. So we're going to use a lot more of this than we did black. So here it is, grape. And again, the same thing, but over the top of our black, because it immediately starts to burnish, look a lot darker. Still want to start to reduce the amount of colour though. So you do want to see that it's darker at the bottom as we go. I mean, we've obviously got quite a lot of the page to move up at the moment, but now I'm trying to get it looking reasonably even, which I'm happy with that. It's not perfect, but I'm not perfect, so that's just the way it is with me. But look, I can see that bit's lighter, so I can just go over that bit. Now, the reason I'm colouring it like this, not going back and forth, is because it can if you go like that on the edge, it can push the paper backwards and make a mess. Okay, so now we need to go in here and put a little bit up. It needs to be to about the same height as that bit, like that. We're going to do this side. Now I'm going to have to turn my book slightly like that, or else I can't quite get the angle right. There we go. And we can put some in here and here as well. So we're sort of fading upwards, yeah? And the lininess works in our favour because it makes it look more like a sky, in my opinion. Right, next, I need a slightly lighter purpley colour. Where are we going to go? Which direction? Let's have a look. I think, So I'm trying to choose between. So we've gone with this grape, which is really dark here. I'm trying to choose between whether to go to iris or violet or pansy. Now pansy is much more of a bluey colour, which I think is probably better. So that's what I'm going to go for a sky, I mean. I think this is it. Yeah, pansy. Sorry about the book on the angle, but it just helps me here get these lines in. Now, the fact that we've got lines showing doesn't worry me one bit, because I'm thinking it looks like maybe there's clouds, you know, or maybe it looks a bit more spooky. It doesn't, it's fine. Now we're going to be up here and we're going to be going over the bats. I don't want it to be really, really dark up here, which is, you know, we're fading it up, it's fine, because I want to be able to see those tree branches and bats across the sky. They're definitely part of our story in this picture. We need to be able to see them. There we go. Go over to this side. Do the same thing. Now hopefully the tortoise will stand out from the background, not the other way round. It's always a little bit of a risk. I have seen some pictures with backgrounds and the background is just amazing and stands out massively, and sometimes you can barely make out the original picture, or you know, it's sort of really hidden, and I sometimes think that's a bit sad because you know, the person who drew the picture wanted that to be the star of the show, not the background. So I tend not to try to not do that. I'm being a bit naughty, going across there like that. So anyway, but it depends on the picture really, I think, and what you want to do with it. I'm trying to make that a bit more even. There we go. Now I think we're going to have to go to the wisteria. So we're moving into pastel colours. To be a little bit careful with the pastels because they're less see-through. So, oh, I need to go across there, don't I, first? Sorry, this is the pansy. So we have to be careful because if we put it on too thickly, we'll obscure our branches and bats, which isn't what we want to do. So I'm going to do it a little bit gingerly to start with. So here it is, wisteria. Like that. You can't really see much of it here, which is fine. That's the idea. And then we use it up here. Oops, a bit more so we can see it, and then take it all the way to the top. Now it is quite thin, you know, the layer, but I'm okay with that. I don't really want it plastered on. You know, I want it to look more like it's maybe even a pastel, soft pastels rather than pencils, but I just thought I could get away with using the Holbeins because they're so soft. You can do a background with them, but I didn't want it really thick and black, where you wouldn't see the branches, you wouldn't see the bats, but I'm hoping that this looks still a little bit scary, a little bit dark. Right, I'm just going to now sit back a minute and go through filling out the bits that I think look a little bit sparse here and there. Now I'm thinking about whether to add some dark grey clouds into this sky, but if I do, I don't know if we'll see the birds very well. I'm just going to sit back and have a look at it, see whether it does need a bit more. Yeah. Let's turn it that way. There he is. Oh. So you could just stop there, but I do think I want some clouds, and I think the easiest way to apply clouds for me is probably with a pastel rather than a pencil, because I can use my cloth to do a rounded shape. So it's a bit dirty, isn't it, on that side? So I am going to get out my Mungyo Pastels. I'm going to use a dark grey to just create a few cloudy areas. Can't see a dark grey in my pastels. I think this might be the darkest. Oh, it might work. Now, because up here is our sort of lightest bit, I feel like we could benefit from some grey. I need to make that, shape it a bit more like a cloud. I'll just bring it across a bit perhaps. Once we get a few more in, it'll make more sense. So I'm thinking a sort of long thin one here. And yeah, I know clouds aren't always this sort of colour, but if you look in a night sky, you do get wisps of grey, dark grey cloud. So I'm hoping this can look a bit like that. It's quite fun. Even if it doesn't work, I'm enjoying it. But I think it is working to some extent. I think it makes it look a bit more spooky as well. Do something a bit more with this corner. It's quite a big cloud there. Now, if you preferred not to colour the purple, you could do the purple with pastels, or you could just put these clouds on without any purple behind. I quite like the fact that it's quite light around here and it's darker down here. I quite like that. Now I'm just going to try and blend this pencil with my... It doesn't really want to blend very well. I'm just going to blend that bottom, but I don't think it's going to work, but never mind. I sort of feel in some ways I want some lighter areas to pop out, but it is a dark picture, isn't it? The idea isn't that it's supposed to be light. So I think I'm gonna, the last thing, yeah, I'm just going to do one thing. I'm going to put these away because I'm happy with that. Yes, of course, you could put stars in the sky. That would line it. But I actually think it will make it look twinkly and magical, which isn't really the idea of the picture, is it? So I think what I'm going to do, is to, down here on the ground, where I've got these separate stones, I'm going to colour those in using, I don't know what I dropped then, using the colour called cork. It's a little bit darker than the colour we used for the ground, so I think it will just help them to stand out a little bit. I feel like they look a bit like I've just ignored them, so I'm just going to find the sort of loose ones like that. And there's not too many. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I just feel like it needed a little something to make that it look a little bit less flat somehow. There we go. I don't think it needs much more. I'm just fiddling now. There, I think I'm going to leave it there. Let's take this paper out. There he is. Yeah, it's not too bad, is he? Yeah. Okay, so there is our haunted house tortoisey picture. So something a little bit different, a little bit more scary. It won't get any more scary than this. So thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day and happy colouring.